normal day at a quiet suburban school turned into a tragedy that haunted the world. The day America lost its innocence. The day the name Columbine became a haunting image for every school. Columbine High School, Littleton, Colorado, home to nearly 2,000 students, mostly from middle-class families. A typical American school in the late 20th century, with basketball teams, proms, hallways filled with safes. But hidden behind that peaceful appearance is isolation, bullying, and disaffected teenage souls. Eric Harris, 18 years old. Smart, good at computers, good at shooting games. But he harbors a hatred for society. Once wrote a blog calling for the destruction of humanity. Dylan Klebold, 17 years old. Quiet, vulnerable, repeatedly hinted at wanting to commit suicide in his diary. The two men found each other and hatched a plan to take revenge on the world, turning their own school into a battlefield. 11:10 a.m. Eric and Dylan drove to the school, each carrying semi-automatic guns, pistols, pipe bombs, and knives. In the trunk of the car were more than 90 homemade bombs. They placed two 9-kilogram bags of Molotov cocktails in the cafeteria, setting the timer to 11:17. If the bombs exploded, at least 400 students would die. The bomb did not explode. Eric and Dylan decided to start Plan B, shooting. In the west courtyard, they shot at a group of students eating lunch. Rachel Scott, 17, was shot dead, instantly becoming the first victim. Richard Castaldo, 17, sat next to him, seriously injured, lying motionless. It's 11:22 a.m. They threw pipe bombs, smoke rose, and then entered the building. The school hallway turned into a battlefield. Many students did not understand what was happening, thinking it was just a joke, until they saw blood on the floor. 11:29 a.m. Eric and Dylan entered the library, where more than 50 students were hiding. Within 7 minutes, they killed 10 people, injured 12 others. They shot anyone who showed up. At one point, they laughed, shouting, "Whoever wears a baseball cap, stand up." Victim Cassie Bernal, 17 years old, was shot while hiding under a desk. Later, many stories said that she said yes when asked, "Do you believe in God?" Turning Cassie into a symbol of faith. 11:35 a.m. They left the library, walked down the hallway, shot into classrooms, threw pipe bombs. But luckily, many bombs did not explode. Meanwhile, the police and SWAT team surrounded the outside. But they did not dare to rush in because they did not know the location of the perpetrator. 12:08 a.m. Eric and Dylan returned to the library. As police sirens grow closer, they both shoot themselves. The entire attack lasts nearly 50 minutes. Total. 13 dead, 12 students, 1 teacher, 24 injured. The scene inside the school is a nightmare. Blood-stained hallways, backpacks scattered, fire alarms ringing repeatedly. Students who were lucky enough to escape hug each other and sob. Parents gather outside. Many collapse when they hear their children's names. Columbine is more than just a crime. It has become a symbol of American social tragedy. Political controversy. Gun control legislation is introduced in Congress. But no consensus has been reached. Blame culture. Many people criticize shooting games, Doom, Quake, violent movies, rock music, Marilyn Manson, school psychology, bullying, social isolation, and adolescent mental illness are hot topics. Today, Littleton has the Columbine Memorial, where the names of 13 victims are engraved. Every year, residents and visitors come to lay flowers and light candles. Columbine was not just a tragedy, it was a wake-up call. The beginning of the obsession with school shootings in America. And from that day on, schools were no longer completely safe places. A normal spring day turned into a bloody day. The day a student quietly turned the school into a nightmare for the entire United States. Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, commonly known as Virginia Tech, is located in Blacksburg, Virginia, a prestigious university with more than 30,000 students. But among those tens of thousands of students, there is a name that silently nurtures hatred. Sung-Hui Cho, born in 1984, of Korean descent, immigrated to the United States with his family when he was young. Since childhood, Cho suffered from social anxiety disorder, barely spoke, and lived alone. Teachers were worried when he wrote violent plays, haunted by death. But the education and mental health systems did not intervene in time. Cho became a ghost in the school, a student that few people paid attention to. But inside his mind was a storm. 7:15 a.m. At West Ambler Johnston Hall, Cho shoots and kills one 8-year-old freshman Emily Hilscher and two 2-year-old resident assistant Ryan Clark when he tries to help. Initially, police think it was a domestic violence incident. The school is not on lockdown. Students continued to go to class, and that was a fatal mistake. 9:40 a.m. Cho enters Norris Hall, an engineering building, armed with 2 handguns and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. He locks all the doors with chains and locks, turning the building into a death trap. 9:41 to 9:50 a.m. Joe begins shooting into each classroom. In room 206, Professor Liviu Lebreski, 76, a Jewish survivor of the Holocaust, rushes to hold the door shut, yelling to the students, "Jump, run." He was shot dead, but saved 23 students who jumped out the window to escape. In room 211, Professor G.V. Loganathan was shot while giving a lecture. Many students risked their lives to block the door with tables and chairs. Some wrote their last words on their phones as they heard the killer's footsteps getting closer. In 9 minutes, Cho fired more than 170 bullets. The sound of gunfire echoed throughout the campus. 9:51 a.m. Police broke down the door of Norris Hall. As the force approached, Cho fired the last shot into his head, ending the madness. Total: 32 people killed, 17 injured. This is the bloodiest school shooting in U.S. history. Outside Norris Hall, thousands of students ran away, tears streaming down their faces. The sirens of ambulances, rescue helicopters, and screams mixed into a mournful melody. Parents receive hasty text messages from their children. "Mom, there's a shooter on campus. I love you." Some texts become the last words. The world is shocked. The whole of America cries when the list of victims is announced. Heroes are honored. Professor Lebreski, students who risked their lives to protect their friends. Burning question: why was a student with a history of mental illness still able to legally buy a gun? Why was the warning not issued immediately after the first shooting in the morning? The government, forced to reform the emergency warning system, creating VT alerts, text messages, emails, and loudspeakers sent simultaneously when there is danger. Today, at Norris Hall, there is a stone memorial engraved with the names of 32 victims. Every year, students and their families still come here to light candles and lay flowers. Virginia Tech is more than just a shooting. It is a bitter reminder that, even in the halls of knowledge, darkness can descend. And sometimes, the silence of one person can hide the most terrible storm. A seemingly normal morning turned into the worst nightmare. When a young childhood was snatched away in cold gunfire. Sandy Hook Elementary School is located in the town of Newtown, Connecticut, with a population of just over 27,000. A peaceful, gentle community where everyone knows each other. Children run around in the park. That day, the 14th of December 2012, the school had about 700 students from kindergarten to 4th grade. But in a house a few kilometers away, a 20-year-old young man was preparing to turn this small town into the center of the world. Adam Lanza. Adam lived with his mother, had little social interaction, and suffered from multiple developmental disorders. He was obsessed with guns, used to play shooting games for hours, and researched previous shootings. His mother, Nancy Lanza, inadvertently nurtured that obsession, owning an arsenal of weapons at home. Adam shot his mother dead at home, then drove to Sandy Hook School. He had a Bushmaster AR-15, a Glock 10mm, and a Sig Sauer 9mm, all semi-automatic guns in his car. 9:35 a.m. Instead of going through the main door, Adam shot out the glass door and entered the school. The sound of the gunfire shook the entire school. Immediately, Principal Dawn Hochsprung, 47, and psychologist Mary Sherlock, 56, rushed into the hallway. They were shot dead instantly. Another staff member was seriously injured. 9:36 a.m. to 9:40 a.m. Adam entered the 1st grade classroom. Within minutes, he opened fire in 2 classrooms. 20 students, 6 to 7 years old, were killed, along with 6 school staff. Teachers risked their lives to save students. Victoria Soto, 27 years old, hid students in a closet, then confronted Adam, lying that "My students are in the gym." She was shot dead, but many children survived. Rachel Davino, 29 years old, a special support specialist, rushed out to protect students, was also shot down. 9:44 a.m. Police arrived. Adam fired a few more shots and then committed suicide with a Glock. The whole incident lasted only 11 minutes. But in those 11 minutes, 26 lives, including 20 children, were lost forever. Outside the school, parents ran to the school, tears streaming down their faces, waiting to hear news of their children. Some children were let out, holding hands. eyes tightly closed to avoid seeing the horrific scene behind them. Many parents collapsed when the list of their children's names never rang out. Police later recounted. The classroom was eerily silent. On the floor were tiny backpacks, children's shoes, and unopened books. Sandy Hook shocked the world. President Barack Obama broke down in tears at a press conference. These little angels deserved a longer life. Millions of Americans took to the streets, calling for tighter gun laws. The Sandy Hook Promise movement was founded by parents of victims with the slogan, "From tragedy, we promise change." But America remains deeply divided. Congress has been fiercely debated, and so far, gun control legislation has not reached the necessary consensus. Today, in Newtown, people built a memorial to Sandy Hook, a garden, a peaceful lake, and engraved with the names of 26 victims. Every Christmas, thousands of candles are lit, shimmering in the cold night sky. Sandy Hook was more than a massacre. It was the screams of little souls, reminding the world that gun violence spares no one, even angels as young as 6 or 7 years old. When the chalk fell, when the gunshots rang out in the classroom, we understood that the school, which should have been a home of knowledge, had become a battlefield. And those memories will never fade.